Coming up today, it's episode 102 of In the Front Row with Mike Vaccaro. Our guest today is Jake the Snake Plummer. Former NFL quarterback, shares his story from Idaho to Arizona State, where he starred for the Sun Devils, on to the NFL with the Cardinals and the Denver Broncos, where he finished his career. After that, spent time playing a lot of handball professionally as well, and now co-founder of Umbo Mushrooms, functional mushrooms for athletes. He shares about that as well and the benefits on the body. Plus, we hear about his teammates, including the late, great Pat Tillman. All that straight ahead, episode 102 of In the Front Row with Mike Vaccaro, featuring Jake Plummer. Well, Jake, first of all, thanks for joining us here today. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. I know we've been kind of emailing back and forth, but want to certainly dive into your story, your past, and what you're doing now. And let's start kind of in your past. You're an Idaho guy. You're born in Boise, grew up in Smiley Creek, Idaho, with your brothers. What was early life like for you? And athletics, how big did they play a part in you growing up?
Yeah, well, it's great to connect finally, get on the show here. We've been trying, like you said, for a while, but I figure when the time's right, everything happens for that reason. Growing up, I grew up, in Idaho. Spent a lot of time in Smiley Creek. I didn't grow up my full, childhood there, but spent, some formative years, age 4, 5, 6. The mountains and playing in the creeks, climbing trees, throwing rocks, riding my bike, playing with Hot Wheels, and had a big Tonka truck, just doing all the fun kid stuff. And my brothers, 2 older brothers, were highly competitive and really into sports. So I can remember being like 4 years old and wanting to play catch with them with the Nerf ball, and they would throw it to me. And if I dropped it, they would get mad at me. Like, you touch it, you catch it. So here I am, like 4, 5, 6-year-old kid. They're throwing the ball, and I'm diving, catching the ball, and like just wanting I'm just wanting them to be like, good job, man, like to be all right with who I am. And that's how I grew up. It was everything. And football, basketball, baseball, ping pong, tennis, hacky sack, juggling, tightrope, walking. I mean, we did it all. Trampoline came in huge later on in like around 3rd, 4th grade. Yeah, active, really active. And I have to admit, a lot of that's probably what helped me get through all the years of playing ball, that I'd fallen out of stuff and crashed my bike and wrecked a skateboard hundreds of times before I was getting pounded by these guys. So I had to have prepped me for learning how to fall correctly. And definitely enjoyed growing up with 2 older brothers that pushed me and someone I looked up to and wanted to emulate. And they were my role models and my idols growing up, and it was really cool to have them be there for me through my journey.
Well, that obviously paid off for you later on, as you said, with your football career. You were used to getting pounded and falling and everything else. When did you know that football was kind of your vehicle to get to college and to maybe have a career professionally?
Yeah, I was pretty good at all the sports. I wasn't great at basketball and baseball, but I was good. I could play. Started junior, senior year, and started junior, senior year football, basketball, and baseball. Football wasn't really I didn't think that was my ticket growing up, being a tall, skinny, lengthy, sinewy kind of kid. Football's not something you do. And back then, there were weight rooms, but we weren't spending a ton of time in a weight room. My first, foray into lifting weights was when I got to ASU. It was like, what? We got to do this now all the time. So for me, it was just being active. And football, my junior year, I did pretty good. We won the state championship in Idaho, and I started getting letters. And I went to a camp that summer. Bill Walsh ran a quarterback receiver camp down at Stanford, and they were one of my top choices, if not my top choice college that I wanted to go play and get a great education, play ball, see where life would take me. And down at that camp, I came in from Idaho. There wasn't anybody else from Idaho, and all these Cali blue chip, like 5-star recruits, big guns, everybody. I got in there and I was slinging it with them, and I didn't look any different. In fact, I probably had more pop on my ball and could sling it anywhere, going to any which way. And then I set a foot speed record in a little drill they did. And of a whole camp, I had the quickest feet in the camp, and that record supposedly still stands. And so Kerry Shea was the coach that was OC there, working with Bill Walsh. And they selected 10 of us to have a special one-on-one or like 10-on-1 coaching session with Walsh. And once that happened, the word got out. Those guys, started talking about me. Then that spread through the college ranks, and I was getting letters from everywhere. So I knew, okay, football, here we go. I'm not playing hoops in college, maybe D3, because I was just a scrappy defender and rebounder and did whatever anybody needed me to do. Baseball, I couldn't hit a slider, so that was like, nah, I'm not going to spend the time in the cage to get that down. And football, I was good at. I could run around, and people couldn't catch me, and I could throw the ball. So I got into to college on a full ride to Arizona State, and that was a journey in and of itself. And still didn't know if I'd make the NFL because I didn't care. I wanted to go win a national championship at ASU, and that was all I was doing, was putting my heart and soul into being a Sun Devil.
Yeah, and you came very close. I mean, freshman year, you become the starter, leads up to some great years. Your senior season was outstanding for you and for the team as well. You go undefeated into the Rose Bowl. When you look back at your time at Arizona State, what comes to your mind?
Oh, man, getting down there, being from Idaho again, rolling down there with a bunch of guys from California and Texas and Oregon, and I was just they were looking at me like, who the hell is this cat that Bruce Snyder brought in to turn the program around? I was weighing 174 pounds, maybe 174 pounds. And I didn't have a bunch of muscles. I didn't look the part, but was able to come in there, compete, win the backup job. And then halfway through the year, I got a chance to go in and play actually in Pullman in Washington State, the school that I almost committed to because Mike Price really liked me and wanted me bad. And I kind of pulled the plug on them, and he was a little upset, but I got to go in against them at the start of the half. After going in the week before and spraining my ankle and having to come back out, they put me in and said, "It's yours, go." And we put up some points against the number one team in the NCAA, number one defense in the NCAA. We lost the game, but that was it. I got into there, and from there on, I ran with it. I didn't have any plan. I didn't have a guru QB coach working with me, telling me how to do this or when to stand up and say this or any of that. I was just a competitor that was wanting to win, and I'd do anything for my team. If that meant punting it down the field and going down and tackling them, I was going to do it. And the guys really, they enjoyed that. They felt that from me. Some of the seniors that were there, they're still some good buddies of mine. They said that, after we lost to Cal and everybody, we lost to the Cal Bears. Like, that's just something you shouldn't do, is lose to Cal, I thought. And so they're all laughing on the plane ride home. And I was a little pissed off. Like, this doesn't feel right. And so I stood up before we went to practice when coach asked if anybody had anything else to say. And I stood up and I said, this is bullshit. We have a lot better team than this. And I don't think that laughing on the plane and playing cards and acting like it doesn't matter, that doesn't sit well. Like, if it matters, you should be pissed off, especially losing to that team we should have beat. And these seniors deserve a chance to go to a bowl game, and we can win out. And I think if we all commit to that, we can do that. And the seniors immediately were like, that's our dude right there. That's the guy, man. They were all in from then on. And we almost pulled it off. We got close to a bowl game, lost to our rival at the end of the year. But those kind of things put me in that position to have support from my guys. And really, I knew I couldn't be much without them. And that's what the beauty of my career throughout all those years was, just my teammates and having the great teammates that I got to play with that believed in me as much as I believed in them.
Yeah, your senior season, again, 1996 for you, and the way you guys started beating them, number one Nebraska 19-0, you go 11-0 through the season. Did you see things coming together that you thought that was going to be a big season for you individually and for the team as well?
Yeah, we put in a lot of work the year before. We were 6-5 the year before. We lost to U of A again at home, the chance to go to a bowl. It really made a lot of us mad. The group that was there had really committed to being not just good, hard workers, but we were good, tight, close friends. We loved each other, man. We cared about each other. And that from the top down, there was no doubt, from the senior leadership we had and all of our little groups, to handle all the business that we needed to handle as players and let the coaches coach us into position. And we ended that season. And again, I had a meeting at the end of the year before summer got out. And I didn't have a coach or a guru coach set me up to do this. I was just like, I came here to win a national title, and we haven't even been to a bowl game. And I said, I think, at a team meeting, players only, I called it, and I walked in and I had a rose in my hand. And I said, I don't know what anybody's plans are this summer, but I'm going to be here every day. I'm going to work my ass off because this is what I want. So if you want this, stand up right now and join me. And if you don't and you want to go home, that's fine too. But you just don't come back. Like, you stay here, this is it. And the whole team stood up, and we kicked ass that offseason. We worked so hard in the summer. We were running, I remember running 110s, 118 degrees at 3 o'clock. We ran 18 110s, and there were 25 of us out there running. And we were not just half-assed, we were getting after it. Because if you were with me, you weren't going to be allowed to go soft. I was going hard no matter what. And we had a feeling. We just felt like we had put our work in. We'd added Derek Rogers on defense, who was just a lightning bolt over there, just flowed to the ball and walked everything. He was going 100%. And guys on defense now couldn't help but follow that, or they would stand out. And that's where we needed the most improvement. Offensively, we were rolling that year before. We could do it. We knew we had the ability. It was that our defense wasn't quite confident enough. And the addition of a couple guys and just that elevated effort they put in, they matched us. Our special teams got better, and we went into that year not knowing what it would be quite like that. But damn, we were seconds away from getting a national title and a Rose Bowl victory. And that's what Bruce said to me, and why I went to SU. He's the only coach that said, if you come here, we feel you're a key component and a big piece of going and winning national title. Not one other coach at D1 said that. So that's why I became a Sun Devil, because that guy saw something in me and gave me the confidence I needed to go down there and be a leader.
How much does that still stick with you now that you were that close to sharing a piece of that national championship?
Man, it's tough sometimes, just because once you get it, that's it. No one talks really much about the second, third, and fourth ranked team in the country. They only talk about the national champ. And to put a bow on that story, would have been really sweet. But irregardless, it was a phenomenal 4 years at ASU. Many, many great coaches and some amazing football players. 18 of our 22 starters spent time in camp or had significant seasons as NFL football players. And so we were the underdogs. We weren't the recruits that USC recruited. We weren't all these high 5-star recruits, but man, we banded together and did something really special that at ASU, they still talk about us, and we lost the Rose Bowl. So we had a season that galvanized that community, and that put memories in people's heads that lasted forever. And then, there were a lot of crazy dudes on our team, and none other than probably the most famous one, Pat Tillman. Pat was a key component to that. And so, yeah, we had a lot of fun times. We endeared ourselves to that whole state and that community, and almost pulled off what Bruce saw and thought we could do, which was pretty amazing.
Well, you bring up Pat Tillman. Tell us a little bit about the relationship you had with him, because reading about it, you guys had a special bond. Is that the case?
Yeah, we were both undersized and not supposed to be D1 Pac-10 players, and too slow and not strong enough and all that BS. But we didn't believe it. And we came in there, and he came in my sophomore year, he came in as a freshman, and I immediately loved the dude. He had long hair. He was different. He didn't get all dressed up. He wasn't coming in to go on a recruiting visit and get to do all the fun stuff you could do back then. He was coming to see if he could get a good education and play right away. And when he got there, I knew right away he was a tone setter, and that I didn't have to say one thing to him during practice. I knew that he was going to demand what I had been demanding from my guys. He was going to come in and just set the tone by playing one speed. And he did it. He was an amazing guy. He was a great friend. Post-career, or not post-career, but when he was done and went and fought for our country, man, he would call and check on me and feel like an asshole. Like I should have been checking on him and sending him letters and care packages, yet he was checking on me to see how I was doing. And just a great friend to a lot of people, and a huge influence, not only to us prior to his decision to go fight for our country. He was a badass then and a unique man then, and then he went and did that, and that really made him a legendary figure that will be talked about for a long, long time.
Yeah, it seemed like people were scratching their heads that this guy leaves maybe the prime of his career, but when he decided to do that, sounds like that didn't surprise you at all.
No, it was, I had a coach that called and said, you need to talk to him and tell him he's doing the wrong. He shouldn't be doing this, man. He's got this offer over here. He just got married. He should, and I just laughed, said, you think I can change that dude's mind? I mean, he was running a marathon one off season, and he went and trained and ran a triathlon another off season. The coaches were pissed. They wanted him in the weight room, and he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna go run a marathon. It's what I got. I want to do that." And so, this dude did what he wanted to do. He knew in his heart and his soul that that was his path. It's sad he never came back. It's sad that we lost him because he just had so much life and so much genuine curiosity for everything. I would love to have a chance to speak with him about what I'm up to now and just life and see what he's doing now. And, he could probably be the running for president right now and would probably win the way the country loves that dude and love what he did. Even though I tell people all the time, there's hundreds and hundreds of citizens in the U.S. that give up their lives and go lose their lives for our country. And they don't, just because they're not buckling their chin straps and a good looking long haired kind of crazy dude, they don't get any accolades like him. But I think he would be a little upset in all the attention he's getting, because he felt like he was just a normal dude. Like, I'm just a guy doing what I feel is right, along with all these other people that some choose to do it, some are forced to do it, but they're still giving up their lives and everything to go keep our country safe and afford us the lives we all live. So it's tough to not have him here, but to have known him and to be part of his life and to have the ability to share these stories to people is always a blessing.
Well said. As we're approaching Veterans Day here, and it's crazy to think that it's 20 years that he's been gone now, and a teammate at Arizona State, and also at Arizona in the NFL as well. So let's transition back to your career here, and then the NFL. You get drafted and a chance to stay in the area. So a beloved figure at Arizona State. You stay in the area with the Cardinals. What was that like for you to get drafted and be able to stay more or less close to what became your home?
At first, I wanted to go. I was ready to get out of there, and I wanted to go see a new city. I'd been there 4 years, and I'd never lived in a big city, so it was very intriguing to want to maybe go be a Jet or a Giant or a Cowboy, or go be in one of these big other cities besides Phoenix, where I'd already lived a little bit. But then when they drafted me, it was kind of a relief. I didn't have to get up and relocate. I didn't have to get into a new community and find my support groups or find the good restaurants or know where I could go and go on a hike and chill out. It was nice. I had a pretty easy transition to the next level, of which I didn't think I could get. I didn't know I was going to get there, but I knew if I worked hard and took care of business at ASU, that opportunity would come. And getting drafted by the Cardinals was amazing. I got a chance to go to another place like Arizona State was relatively unknown in the football world. They'd had Arizona went to the Rose Bowl in '87, but other than that, I didn't know them from any other team other than in the 5th grade. Jay Bradley got sent home wearing a Sun Devils shirt. The teacher said, "You can't have the devil in the school." Sent him home to change, and that's the only time I remember the Sun Devils. And so going there and leaving that place with having done what we did to build it back up and to almost be national champs was really fun. And kind of got the same opportunity in Arizona, an organization that I didn't know at the time, but had really not done well at all in the Valley and had a history, missing the playoffs, not doing a whole lot. And so I was excited, man. It was like, let's go. I'm bouncing onto a team of pros and guys I watched play on Sundays, and now I'm one of them. And I just had to figure out how to stick and make it happen. And, I got to throw me into the fire, and things went pretty well.
Yeah, 98, big year for you, for the Cardinals as well. A win in the playoffs. First time since 1947 that they won the playoffs. So you do that. What was it like around there when you bring that team to the playoffs and then you get a win over, Dallas of all teams?
Yeah, man. That was just some of the most exciting time. A year removed from, the Rose Bowl season that was wild, man. So much fun. Where the community just everywhere you go, I didn't pay for a meal, I mean, everything was taken care of. And that year, the playoff game was something else, but just the run to get to that and the significance of that season in '98 when the vote for the new stadium passed, the stadium that they now play in Glendale, and I re-signed my rookie contract right before my birthday, actually late December, and nobody knew, and we went and played the Saints, and we were down, and we came back and won, and then we had to win that last game against San Diego, and we did it. Long field goal, last minute drive down the field, an amazing situation to be a part of. And then going and playing Dallas, a team that we beat maybe once or twice and competed, but it killed us. And so we go down there, Aikman, Smith, Irvin. I mean, they were like a dynasty, and we went down there and beat them, and that was amazing. Flying home, we looked out at the Sky Harbor Airport, and there was lights and like all these people set up, like what the hell's going on, and landed, and it was a full-on welcome home party. It got up and said hey to everybody, and big for that organization. If you think they very well that stadium doesn't get passed, I don't know where the Cardinals would be. You don't know. So we feel that 98 team, that was big, having Neas Williams, Larry Centers, Lomas Brown, Jameer Miller. Like, we had some ballers, man. It was so fun, and didn't follow it up with much the next 4 years, but that 98 season and the significance of that to that organization. And then for me, getting, my rookie contract renegotiated, I was set now, man. They paid me more money than I ever dreamed of. Like, what the hell? So I was set. I didn't have to play ball anymore to try to set myself up to live, because I don't live on, I can live on a little, and so that was a phenomenal year. I'm grateful for that organization for giving me the opportunity that they did for 6 years. And when I left there, I'd done my piece. I've been there 10 years now and ready to move.
And very significant, as you said, time there and what you were able to do as a team individually as well. And you did your time there, and then eventually you went to the Broncos. You got your Broncos hat on there. Is that a time in your career that you really look back at fondly as well? And it's, I guess when you're a quarterback in Denver, especially that time, you're always in the shadow of John Elway, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just removed from Greasy when I got here. So Brian Greasy had played right after John and been through the ringer. And I came in and, I'd watch John Elway. I mean, that's the games we got in Boise. My grandma was a Broncos fan because that was what we saw on the TV with the Broncos. And so I knew John, I knew the organization as just a fan. But coming there, the reason I came was, looking at Chicago and them was, I just felt like they knew how to do it. They had the recipe. They had Mike Shanahan, the mastermind, mad scientist, running everything. And they had great coaches. I really loved Gary Kubiak when I met him on my free agent visit. And I looked around at the pieces there. They had some amazing players, great O-line, good defense. And I knew we could have a chance to get there. And really, that was my childhood dream, to win a Super Bowl. So the Broncos had done it twice in a row. I felt like that was the best place, and I loved it. I didn't really care much about John. I mean, great. You're John Elway. You did a great job. 16 years here, 2 Super Bowls to end your career. I'm not going to do that, everybody. I'm not going to be here that long. And if I can win one, then you'll all be happy, right? And I'll be ecstatic. So I wasn't trying to do anything that John did. I just tried to be myself. But he gave me some really important, very, very pertinent information and good words when I got here, which was like, just play your ass off, man. If you go out there and you compete and you get back up and you compete, whether the score or interception or touchdowns, whatever you do, in the end, when it's all over, this town and this fan base will love you. And he was right. When it all came down, said and done, that I live here in Colorado and come across a lot of people, and they're always grateful for my time as a Bronco.
You mentioned Mike Shanahan. What was he like as a coach? What kind of influence was he, maybe not even just your career, but after your career?
Yeah, it was fun playing for Coach Shanahan, for Mike. I mean, he was a mad scientist. He'd sit there and watch film and come up with a game plan that if I just threw the ball where he told me to, a lot of times it was going to work. Sometimes I had to go and throw it where I wanted to, and that's sometimes where we butted heads. But he did it. He put together an amazing team, and man, in 2005 we were right there. We had a home game, Pittsburgh, and we just fell flat that first half and couldn't pull it off in the second. And that was my chance. That was our chance. I felt like we had a Super Bowl championship caliber team. And, that next year I came back. I wanted to retire in 05. I wanted to be done after the Super Bowl with the MVP trophy and say, peace out. I came to do what I came to do. And my dream as a child is complete. I'm out of here. But it didn't. And I came back and I worked hard and I was still the leader. And they drafted Jake Cutler and me and Shanahan kind of started butting heads a little bit. And the rest is history, man. I said some things about him I regret saying, but I was upset. I felt slighted that he took my team away, and the guys still. I was still their leader, like that was me. But they're not allowed to say anything. I mean, that's the one rule. Coach says something, you go with it, and they went with it, even though they were like, "We're 7-4. We don't want Jake to get benched." Like, damn, we want to. That's our guy, And so it was a wild thing going on, and. Anyway, it all went down, and I was happy the way it ended. I got to ride the bitch and enjoy my time. The last bit of my career, I'd soak it in. I soaked it all in, everything, the flights, the bus rides, the food, after the game, before the game, on the field, the pregame warm-ups. I mean, being a leader on the sideline, trying to rally the team from the sideline. It was all right. I was fine to be done when that all went down, and me and Mike still talk. When we see each other, it's always great. I think he appreciates what I did, and I said he felt like maybe that was a bad decision he made to bench me, but it all happens for a reason, and I don't have any regrets or hold any hard feelings towards him. This place treats me well still. This organization does, and I'm blessed to have been a Bronco.
You mentioned with Arizona State how you really gained the trust of your teammates when you spoke up. Was it the same way in the NFL, or was it totally different because it's such a business side of things? But was it easy for you to gain trust and earn that trust of your teammates going from one franchise to another?
Yeah, but those guys, they knew of me. They were there in Arizona, and before the games, you sit and watch football on TV, and Arizona State was on TV, so they've been watching me there that year before. I mean, Larry Sanders was one of my biggest fans. He was up there talking to Bob Ferguson and the front office, like, you better draft this kid or else you better just draft this kid. Like, he wanted me to be his teammate. So having him to take me under his wing was amazing when I first got there. It allowed for a little bit easier transition. They still rode me pretty hard because, I'm the quarterback and not your typical quarterback. So they had to adjust to that a little bit. But it was fun. I think, when it happened, as a rookie, I got into my first live game in Philly, in Old Veterans Stadium. It started the half, coming out of halftime. And where's the ball? We get it on the 2-yard line, going the other way. Like, I got 98 yards to go here, my first drive. So I got in the huddle, and I was like, all right, motherfuckers, let's take this 98. And I looked at them, and they all perked up and looked at me. And all of a sudden, I look over, and Larry Sanders is looking at me with his eyelid pulled down. And I'm like, you okay? He's like, Eye of the Tiger, baby. Eye of the Tiger. And we took that thing 98, and I didn't know we would, but I just said, let's go. Every time I get in the huddle, what's the point? It's to take it 80 and go score. Let's take this thing 80. Let's do this, make sure they remember, because it's not 3 and out. We're not coming in there to just look good for a couple series or a couple first downs. Like, we're going the whole way. And so once that happened, I think they started believing me, and then my style of play, I didn't know what I was doing. I could read defenses a little bit, but I was scrambling around, ripping the ball downfield. DBs weren't used to that. They kind of were, but they weren't expecting it, and I did pretty well. And then 98 was an awesome year. Mark Trestman was rolling in the second half of the year, calling the no-huddle offense. West Coast, we were shredding fools for about 8 games and made the playoffs. So, yeah, They jumped on pretty quick, man, when they realized that I had a lot of heart and passion and was tough enough to take some hits and get back up and have some lip for the defender. And they went, damn, this kid's scrappy, They like that. Lomas Brown, 9-year vet. He got a little life back, like when an old dog gets a puppy, like they start jumping around and playing again. And that's kind of what it was like. I was just the young cub puppy in there running around.
Did you like when they called you a gunslinger? Is that a moniker you like?
Totally. I'm fine with that. I was, man. There was no throw I couldn't make. And with that, not every pick, because there were some I threw some picks at the end of the first half when we were already like throwing Hail Marys with the Cardinals trying to score. because we were down so much. Like, damn. Dave Brown, my backup's like, throw those out of bounds, dude. I'm like, no way, man. If we get a touchdown and we get the ball coming out, we score again. We're only down by 10 now. And then we're in it. I got to get, so every play I was trying to make it. All my interceptions were because I was trying to make it. Some were really horrible throws, but man, most of them were me trying to make a play. And yeah, gunslinger, that's what I was doing. That's all I did. And I had a blast doing it.
Why give it up? You retired after you got traded to Tampa Bay. You never played. John Gruden, I heard, tried to convince you to not retire, but what was it about that? You said you wanted to retire in 2005. This is in 2007. So what led to that?
Just a lot of things, when I won't lie, like Pat's death really put a lot of things in perspective, how quick life can be gone. And like, how many more years do I want to play this game? I put in a lot of years. I've made a Pro Bowl. I almost got to the Super Bowl. We almost won a national title. Like, I've exceeded far my expectations of where I could ever take my career to. What more can I do? And my body was hurting. I was taking a lot of anti-inflammatories. I was going to a movie on the off days and getting up and my knees and my ankles. I'm like, this is in the off season. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. I don't want to golf with a flag on my cart. Like, I want to climb trees and bounce on trampolines and hike and run around and play post-career. And if I keep doing this, I might hurt myself for long-term health and wellness. So I got out, and I didn't want to play for Gruden. I would have not liked that because he said, oh, it's easy, and I know what he's like. He's one of those guys that's going to drive you into the ground. You make 10 good throws and 2 bad ones, he's going to ride your ass on the 2 bad ones, and maybe not. Maybe that's not his style, but I just had enough of it. I was ready to go. I got married. I was in love, wanted to travel, see my family. And so that's what I did, man. And then jumped on the handball court and transitioned into the afterlife of NFL, quarterback, which has been a crazy journey.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about your afterlife. I just said a handball. What led to that? You mentioned earlier with your brothers, you were playing all kinds of things. Does handball go back to your childhood?
Yeah, I forgot to mention handball in all the games I was saying we were playing. I mean, we played it all. My dad was a state champ, played handball. My brothers both got into it. They're both state champs. I've won a double state championship in Idaho only. But it was a great sport that I played a lot growing up. About 12, 13, I started playing, in the off seasons or between sports with my brother and a good friend in Boise and my dad. And whenever we'd get together, we'd go play handball. And then, it was a way when I got out of, I didn't play it much in college, but then in the pros, I got back into it and really felt the cross training aspect and the ability to move laterally and side to side, forward, back, spatial awareness, mental toughness. I had to learn to use my weakness, my weak non-dominant hand, my left hand, which isn't weak, but it wasn't my dominant hand. I've always been amphibious, you know what I mean? Ambidextrous. I'd say amphibious, but, So it was really a sport I played a lot in the off season here in Colorado, and I would come into preseason camp in shape, cardio wise, and it didn't faze me. And they're like, "Well, what have you been doing, man?" I'm like, playing handball. And so I jumped into the courts afterwards because I could play with my brother and got to jump on and play with some of the pros and have a tournament and just kind of help that game have some people play it because it's really it's a niche sport. It's only like passed down from father to son, usually, or daughter, and but it's a great sport, one of the best cross-training sports you can play.
As you mentioned, your body took a beating during your career, and all these guys in the NFL do. You use some different methods, medicinal marijuana, something that you spoke highly about, and the effects of it. Now you're doing Umbo. Tell us about that, the mushrooms, and what it does for athletes, and how that as well, because it seems like the stereotype of some of these drugs obviously is gone away, and you see what they can do for bodies, especially of athletes. Is that kind of something that you found in post-career?
Yeah, I was raised always to be very conscious of what I put in my body. My mom was feeding us tofu and giving us echinacea and garlic and honey for our colds and all kinds of holistic, natural ways to heal. So I was aware of that, and that was really thank goodness, because she's the one who was always like, be careful with those anti-inflammatories. They're not good for your kidneys and your liver and everything else. And so, yeah, it's a natural kind of it was a natural way to transition into something that I already was aware of. And you speak of, medicinal marijuana. I was more advocating for CBD and hemp. Marijuana I've known about for years, long time. I used it a little bit during my career to relax after a game and get some rest. That was usually about it. Post-career, during my hip surgeries, I was using it because it helped with pain and inflammation and the days of laying around with my leg in a machine and just getting through it. And then I realized the benefits of that. And then hemp came into the picture, and boy, oh boy, was the inflammation started leaving my body. And I started realizing the atrocities that these mothers with children with epilepsy were facing, risking persecution to give their children an extract of a plant that grows on God's great earth. Here we are, white men in the power telling these moms they couldn't give their child a plant. And I thought, that ain't right. People need to know about this. And so the athletes, all of us joined together, got into that. That's where I met Del Jolly. And that's the guy who I teamed up with, him and Rashad Evans, former UFC fighter, Hall of Famer, because we took functional mushrooms, reishi, lion's mane, turkey tail, cordyceps, reishi, and I felt another layer of inflammation leave my body, and I felt an immune system boost. My allergies went away. I just felt better. I felt like the brakes got pushed on that ever so powerful narrative that's told to us that, oh, you played football, you had concussions. Oh, watch out. Here comes CTE, dementia, arthritis, surgeries, misery, all this gloom. And it was like, no, man, I pumped the brakes on that shit and said no. And I found a way to slow down the aging process. And it isn't just taking functional mushrooms. That's a huge catalyst and a positive intervention. It's having awareness of your consumption and how you treat your body and what you do. I mean, today I went to a hot yoga class because I was feeling kind of funky and I forced myself to go. I'm feeling much better now, and I'm about to go get on the pickleball court. So, I'm staying active, and I want to spread this message, and that's what we're doing at Umbo. We're helping not only show people there's another way through nature, natural intelligence, NI, I guess you could call it. It's not AI. This is NI. It grows in the ground. It knows everything. It's from the earth. And I feel like a lot of people are looking for that and maybe trying to either find an edge in their performance or recovery, or maybe it's like, just keep feeling like crap and nothing's helping. And I'm tired of feeling like crap, tired of feeling sick and tired. And they try it and they sleep a little better. Our replenishing sleep capsules are 5-star reviewed across the board, our bestseller. And right there, when you start sleeping better, drink a little better water, eat a little bit better food, get up and move a little bit, you're going to feel better. And then if you can keep that going and form good habits, my goal with all this is to get these guys post-career, to get them to believe in them, believe that the warriors that they once were, the best in the world. We were the best in the world. Like at one point, I was probably one of the top 15 quarterbacks in the entire world. And not many people can say they're the top of anything in the world, let alone top 15. And so I can remember that. I'm not that guy now. I can still drop a dime if I need to. I can still throw the rock. I can still move around. But I was at one point. So what's stopping me from like regaining that at the stage I'm at now? It's being accepting where I'm at and being like as good as I can be right now. And so I want to hopefully get more guys to try this. We're doing some research around it. Self-funded, getting a small group of guys to get some data back so we can go to a larger scale, study on reversing cognitive decline and physical dysfunction in former players. And that's starting with NFL guys. Hopefully we'll go into the NHL. We'll go get some vets, some first responders, whatever it is. People deal with injury. And, I don't think we have to go down the road we're being told. And that's just my thoughts. And I'm hoping, through more podcasts like this and getting the word out, that people that are curious and listening, they'll reach out and give it a shot.
Give us the website where people can find some more information, where people can potentially order as well.
Yeah, it's GetUmbo, GetUmbo.com. And, we got capsules, we got tinctures, we've got some good products. Our bars are phenomenal. We sell them at REI. So if you're like, I've been trying one of these bars, go to the REI where you live. Umbo. There's a dairy-free bar and our original bar. It's got nuts and honey and 2.5 grams of functional mushrooms in the bar. These are not bars you just have to tolerate before a workout. You'll be craving these before because they not only taste good, but they'll give you the boost. They'll actually give you a little focus, clarity, little energy to go do whatever it is you're needing to do, whether that's get up off your ass and go for a walk, to initiate that first, like, I'm going to do this, because no one's doing it for you. You got to do it yourself when it comes to health and wellness. So yeah, getumbo.com. We got a sampler pack right now with some samples of our Rise and our Rest capsules and our bars. And it's on 15% off right now online. So it's a little less of a hit to the wallet for trying something that you may be a little like, I don't know about that. Try it out. They're non-psychedelic. They're legal. They've been used in China for centuries to heal for so long. We're just kind of figuring it out over here in Western society, Western medicine. And yeah, give it a shot if you want. I mean, it's up to you, and hopefully it helps.
As you said, kind of you fall back to your mom, kind of taught you about this kind of stuff, but how much, you mentioned CTE, how much do you think about that yourself, in trying to maintain your cognitive ability as you get older?
Yeah, my grandpa had Alzheimer's, so I saw how hard that is on a family, and my mom and my aunt, my uncle, and everybody. It was just, oh, what a horrible disease, horrible thing. And we're coming up with a lot of new findings. I think we're finding out more about our own brains that we never knew before. So here's this disease called Alzheimer's. Maybe that's the wrong term to even call it. It's just brain decay. It's just your brain dealing with the stress and stuff that's coming in and consuming and all this from whatever area, whatever it's doing, and then also head injuries. But I believe in neuroregenesis. I believe that we can repair severed nerves, neurons, and our bodies are meant to be machines to survive in the wild. And so if we can get back to nature and find a way to believe in that, I believe that, yes, CTE is a term brought up and made by a doctor and created a term for dead spots in the brain. But that doctor also hasn't come up with anything that can maybe regrow those dead spots in the brain. And that's what I'd like to see more of, this big money, these big corporations, 32 NFL teams that are billion-dollar companies and organizations. Stop investing in Pfizer and all of these pharmaceuticals, and maybe get into researching lion's mane for neuronal growth and repair. The nerve growth factor on lion's mane is out the roof, and these guys' brains are damaged, and lion's mane is helping so many people, yet hasn't been studied and funded and FDA approved, but it's nature. And so that's what we're trying to do, man. It's fun. It's a journey I never have thought I'd be on, but I'm so happy to be at this moment, and the people I've met and the people I keep getting to meet that come to me, and former players come and say, man, I've heard you talking and I want to try this. That's just a beautiful thing to have in my life. You got to help people. It's a gift.
2019 College Football Hall of Fame. As we mentioned, you're in the Arizona State Athletics Hall of Fame as well. Such a great career. So many things. What do you want to be remembered most as?
Oh, man, I think that's a tough question, but I guess first from my teammates, it's the most important thing, and coaches. I want to be remembered as a competitor and a guy they could trust and love and that cared for them. And I think I pulled that off pretty well. I mean, all my guys, I love seeing my teammates, and I love meeting other opponents that would have been amazing teammates. And I remember playing against you. It's all fun to recollect now because you don't remember a lot of the bad times. It's all just thinking about the good. For the fans, yeah, I'm happy to know that they think fondly of those times and those couple seasons we had down in Arizona and the time here with the Broncos. I got a lot of fans that had really, really good moments with their families that they'll never forget. And a lot of them are like 29 to 38-year-old kids now. I say kids because they're younger than me, but they were just little tiny kids when I was playing. So I think back to when I was 10, maybe 11, and oh my God, I remember meeting, Dave Craig and Steve Largent up at Seattle's camp, and they're in, what was it, Wenatchee, where they would practice or somewhere? I mean, yeah, any of those dudes I looked up to so much. And so it's fun to bump into these young kids now and like, oh, I love what you're doing. What a crazy story. And so I've always been a little off center. So Thanks to my mom, my dad, my family for raising me like that. And this is just another opportunity to take the lead on something that is kind of off center, but I know in a few years is going to be as common as CBD is now. And as nature and as plants are becoming more researched and people are learning the benefits and less side effects, I think that there's a shift happening. And I again, feel blessed to be able to be part of that.
Are you on social media? How can people follow you and continue again off of there, find more on Umbo?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Snakes Takes, and then on Instagram at Snake Plummer, and also at Get Umbos on Instagram. A lot of good information. If you go to our website and sign up for our newsletter, we have a free ebook that breaks it down so it's easier to digest, because this queendom of fungi is extremely complicated. There are so many things we don't know, but we're trying to find out. I know one thing, they've been a huge part of me feeling youthful and having vitality and having an idea that my long-term health and my preventative health is right on par. I mean, I want to live a long time, and I'm not going to think about what could be because of what I did for a living and how much fun I had playing ball. I'm thinking about now and what I can do to live like this as long as possible.
People call you Jake the Snake. What does that put a smile to your face when they say that, when they call you by your nickname as well?
It's mostly my old teammates or fans. That's about it. My friends now, they just call me Jake. But sometimes the wife will call me Snake, and that's when I usually laugh. She'll like, "Hey, Snake, where'd you put the keys?" or something like that. And it makes me really laugh. And my kids, it's funny for my kids because they never saw me play, but they see how fans and people react. And they just sit back and like, "Wow, Dad, those people were really happy to see you." And like, yeah, and spreading that joy and being able to make someone happy and have a memory. What a gift. I always try to stand up and there. And now I get an opportunity to do it again and share a fun journey. And yeah, I just want to be a good dad and a good human while I'm here on earth, man.
Yeah, tell your kids you're cool. They probably don't think it now, but you were cool, right?
Yeah, I mean, they think I'm pretty cool right now, but they don't even know, they don't really know what I did. They know a little bit. I've shown them clips and whatever, but yeah, I don't care if they think I'm cool or not. I just want them to respect me. I just want them to know I love them and will always love them and want them to be the best they can be too.
Well, Jake, this is 2 years in the making and certainly well worth it, man. I can't thank you enough for joining us here, sharing your story. And again, what you're doing and what you're all about. And again, your love and your appreciation for the game, for your teammates, and certainly Pat Tillman as well during, like I said, Veterans Day is coming up. So certainly it was great to have you on during this time to share about him as well.
Right on, Mike. Thanks for being persistent and keeping at it, dude. I got to tip my hat to you you kept emailing me and we finally did it, man. Thanks for being patient.
Well, much thanks to Jake for joining us here today. Almost 2 years in the making, that interview with him, and certainly worth it there. Great to hear his story. Great to hear his thoughts about his relationship with the late Pat Tillman as well. As always, we thank you for watching and listening and invite you to like, to subscribe, to share our episodes. Great guests that we have had, great stories, so many different sports, so many great characters as well that we've had a chance to talk through the years here. Hope you've enjoyed that and hope you'll continue to do so. And again, we encourage you to subscribe to our channels. For J.R. Quigman, our creator, producer, and director, I'm Mike Vaccaro. Thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you next time for another episode of In the Front Row with Mike Vaccaro. Have a great day, everybody.